What is up, Need for Speed racers? It is I, your wheelman, Alex Cornnut. We're here today with the Ferrari Testarossa at A+ class. I have 4 builds for you because situations change based on track, based on your needs, based on your driver mod. And so I've brought you a culmination of all things that are good for this car in A+, and 3 of these I've never showcased on the channel, and 3 of those are better than anything else you guys have seen being posted, and so it's really important for me to bring those to you. The last build is that top speed build that I've already showcased, so that hasn't changed because I haven't improved that, but these 3 are new. You guys may see I'm in a different environment. I'm traveling, I'm away from home for 2 weeks, and so that being the case, I've brought my rig, and I've brought everything I need to make sure I'm bringing you guys Need for Speed content, because even though I might be displaced, you guys still need to know where to go to get it, and that's right here. So, with no further ado, let me start with build 1. The first 2 are similar, but have different gains based on what your needs are. So, let me walk you through those. The first build out of the 4 is going to use the 4.9 liter V8. All of the Rossa builds use the 4.9 liter V8, so that is the default engine for these. This one I'm going to refer to as the twin turbo build. Now, the twin turbo build has advantages of like a supercharger and also a turbocharger. So you're going to have power at the top end and power at the low end, but neither one of those is dominant. So with a single turbo, you get lots of power at the top end, but it suffers without the torque. It doesn't hit so hard low. With a supercharger, you get lots of low end power, but not quite as much at the top. So this is kind of both. This is the all-around short track build. The second build is specifically for those that want the torque on the tighter, twisty tracks, and this might be one, like we used this one on Colossus a little bit because it kind of helps with that straightaway. So, first and foremost, guys, when you're building these cars, just make sure you know what you're building it for, and then do the best you can if you build a couple to either know the performance value so you know what you're buying into, so it's easy to select, or maybe change the colors of the rims or something so you can be like, oh yeah, that one's my speed one, that's my short track one, that's my single turbo, vice versa, so you guys don't get confused, because locking in the top speed Century in the short track will murder you. It's really hard to do well in that car, so on the tight turns. Let me dig into the build. So for this one, it's 725 brake horsepower. None of these builds have lower horsepower than that because that is what you can pack into this car if you build it right. The induction, we are using Pro Silver induction. We are using Pro Silver ECU, Sport Bronze fuel system, Super Gold exhaust, and Elite Platinum twin turbos. Sport Bronze nitrous. The chassis and everything else for the rest of this will stay the same. There's a couple of little tweaks we have to get the grip values correct on one of them, but bear in mind, if you're wanting to try different versions, buy the chassis and set it, forget it kind of deal. And on all of those, we run the Elite Platinum road suspension, so that way you can turn. Sport Bronze brakes, Elite Platinum grip tires, Sport Bronze clutch, and we are using the Sport Bronze 4-speed transmission. Using the 4-speed allows us to pack a lot of horsepower in there, and really the car feels pretty good, especially if you know how to boost. And then Elite Platinum diff, you can get away with just the bronze diff, you guys, on all of these builds. So if you're balling on a budget, you're wanting to save money, just pack in the bronze one. Sport Bronze diff, be happy. I just run Elite Platinum on all my builds. Nitrous drift, nitrous grip are the auxiliaries. For the handling, slide your slider all the way 100% Beyonce to the left, 100% grip. Steering sensitivity, I'm 2 clicks high, that's where I run it. Downforce, for this one with the twins, if you're using the twins, it's because you're looking for more of the top end side of things, so run your downforce slider all the way low. It's going to give the car the most pickup on the top end. That being said, with that downforce low, this is an airplane. So if you go off any jumps, be ready to fly further than you ever have. I know that there are certain lines that I take with this particular build to avoid certain jumps, because if you hit it, you are going to crash into stuff that you've never even seen before. A perfect example of this is one of the turns you'll go and there's like a dump truck and you can go behind the dump truck and go over the jump, and there's like a railing or a conveyor belt that's up there, and you will crash into that conveyor belt every single time in this build with the low downforce. Actually, most of the Rosas will hit that, but with the low downforce, it flies even further. So be aware of that going in, you guys. Traction control off, drift entry, brake tap. That is going to give you the twin turbo Rosa. We call it the 176 twins. We called the Rosas based on their speeds, but then we got two Rosas that have the same top speed. One has twins, one has screw. So this is the twinnies. 176 is your top speed. It'll redline tech higher than that. Depends on how good you are. 725 for your horsepower and 858 for your torque. This is the all-around build for the short track, you guys. It's a pretty safe bet. Let's move on to the screw. All right, build number 2. This one has the screw supercharger. The engine is the same. It is the 4.9 liter V8. So same one all the way across. That is the basic iron first motor. For the parts are very different because we packed in a gold screw, and that's a big deal, you guys. So sport bronze induction, super gold ECU, sport bronze fuel system, super gold exhaust, and super gold screw supercharger. If you're gonna get a supercharger, if you can put the screw in the car and make it work, that is far better than the roots. It actually is worth about 1/10 or 2/10, depending on the car and what application, running through the gears. And I did some testing on this. I have all that testing for a 240Z video I haven't put out yet. I think I'm going to show you guys that because it's really important to see the differences. But getting into the back end files and looking at how all the inductions work, we're able to see that the screw actually gives its bonus earlier than the roots by just a fraction. And so that's why it usually costs more PI points. So if we can, I like to put in the screw. Sometimes it just doesn't fit and we really have to force it, and so I will do the roots. But at the end of the day, we want to go as far into the elite side of things as we can because the bonus is bigger. But in this case, the elite platinum screw just didn't fit in the car comfortably. We were trading off horsepower, and so with this version, we match the horsepower of 725 that the twins have, but we do it with a screw supercharger. So with that, this is going to be the tight short track specialist. It is going to do much better on the tighter corners. It's going to do a lot better on the 90-degree corners because it's going to get all of that power up front and it's going to hit it sooner. The twins, they have a little bit slower boost gain, so this is better on the low end, but you don't go at the top speed quite as fast. So let's just say first, second, and third gear, you get through those gears quicker, and then when you get into fourth and you're running out long, as soon as you get about halfway through the gear, that screw starts to fall off, but that's where the twins start to pick up, and that second turbo really takes you to the top end. So just know what you're getting into. Maybe try both. I think really you probably only need one short track car, but see which one you like better and try from there. But either way, they're both very good builds. Same chassis as before, but I'm going to go through it with you. So you run Sport Bronze Nitrous, you run Elite Platinum Road Suspension, you run Sport Bronze Brakes, Elite Platinum Grip Tires. Some of the guys have run it with the road tires. They say it micro drifts a little better, but I couldn't turn it myself, so I didn't do that. But Hex and the guys, they're kind of aliens. They can do whatever they want, so let them live, right? Sport Bronze clutch, and you don't need a better clutch because you're running the Sport Bronze 4-speed transmission. Guys, these are all very similar builds, but subtle changes to get the most performance. And then we run the Sport Bronze differential. Now pay attention here. Nitrous grip, nitrous drift, same old, same old. You'll see it is a 98% grip build because we've got to tweak our suspension to get the most out of it to fit the screw, because we're premium builders over here. We get the most out of the car. That's how we do it. You guys know that. So for your handling, run it to 100%. Steering sensitivity, I am 2 clicks to the right. Downforce, I run all the way to the right when we're starting. Traction control off, drift entry is brake tap. That is going to give you S270 for your performance. Go back to your parts. I've showed you guys this trick a couple of times, but the Cornnut crew is the only one doing it, so I will always try to show you guys every time, because if you're new to the channel, you need to know how we're doing it. Once you've purchased and equipped the Elite Platinum Road Suspension, back it up. Purchase and equip the Super Gold road suspension. After you purchase the Super Gold road suspension, that's going to bring that slider down to the 98% grip. You can go back and then equip the Elite Platinum road suspension. So now you have the best suspension with 98% grip, and that's going to slot it right into A269. Guys, for this trick to work, you have to have the bronze diff. If you buy one of the other differentials, it makes the slider wide. It doesn't show you past 100%, it only goes to 100, but it's like 110 or 105%. So you've got to back it down to the bronze. That way the slider will actually change when you get the lesser suspension equipped. So that trick doesn't work if you have the Elite Platinum equipped. Now, once you set the car to 98% grip, you can go back and equip that. That's fine. Just don't touch your handling slider anymore, because once you adjust it, you've got to go back and reset everything. So when you guys do this build, because we have to do the 98% grip, that's why I show you the bronze diff, because that's the deal. That is going to give you the screw supercharger version of the Rosa. This is the 176 build, as we call it. 176 top speed. It'll redline tech higher than that. 725 for your horsepower. 865 for your torque. It's a little more torque than the twins. It's a little more grunt on the low end. Lacks a little bit on the high end. But guys, we're splitting hairs. Find which one you like the most and build that one and go with it. If you want to go with the twin turbos, it's solid. If you want to go with the screw, it's solid. Either one of these builds is going to be very dominant for the short track. This is the best short track Rosas you can build. There's nobody else doing it better. So that being the case, pick one or the other, go with that. Let's move on to the middle of the road single turbo version. I call this one the middle of the road because it's between the short track and the super long track Century. So that being the case, it has a good moderate top speed, especially for A+. I mean, it'll walk most everything. And if you can redline tech, this thing will get right on the cusp of 200 miles an hour, which is nutty for A+. That being said, it doesn't accelerate as hard as the twins or the screw. So you're making trade-offs here. We're adding top speed, but we're losing that low-end grunt. So just know what you're getting into with this one. If you're looking for a long track one that accelerates a little harder than the Century, this is a very good option. But I want to bring you all the options so that way you as a player can decide what's best for you, not be told here's the best. Because honestly, options are good. I like to be presented with options. So I want to present you with the options. And I'm optimizing these to the most they can be. The engine is the same. It is the 4.9 liter V8. First engine, Iron Basic. For the parts, you're running Sport Bronze induction. You're running the Elite Platinum ECU. You're running Iron Basic fuel system, Sport Bronze exhaust, and then the Elite Platinum single turbo. And then you run Sport Bronze nitrous. You are going to run the Elite Platinum road suspension, Sport Bronze brakes, Elite Platinum grip tires, Sport Bronze clutch, Sport Bronze 4-speed transmission, and then for this one you can do the Elite diff. You can still just do the bronze, just so long as you put a diff in it to get that slider all the way to the grip. And then nitrous drift, nitrous grip. It's what we run on the grip car, so you can micro drift. Handling 100% Beyonce, full to the left, as much grip as we can put in it, baby. Steering sensitivity, I'm 2 clicks high. Downforce, same deal on this one. If you're building this car, it's because you're searching for top speed. So I'm running that slider all the way to the left to give it as much top end legs as I can give it. It also makes it redline and boost a little bit higher. So I run downforce all the way low. Traction control is off. Drift entry is brake tap. With the single turbo set up the way it is, this one's not as rowdy as some of the other versions, but overall the Testarossa with the 4-speed is pretty tame. With more gears, it's a little more crazy because just the torque applies a little easier, but that being said, this one is set up pretty well. This was originally a very good Speed King car, but then we made some tweaks to give you the Century version because that car is insane for the top speed, but it takes a while to get there. So this one's got a little bit more catch-up ability, so we say. But it'll redline tech right to the cusp of 200 miles an hour, so it definitely goes for you guys. Top speed 192 as it says, but Redline Tech, like I said, it'll do almost 2. 748 for your horsepower, 845 for your foot-pounds of torque. Like I say, middle of the road, faster than the short track versions, but not as crazy top speed as the Century build, which I'm about to show you. So depending on its application, I know we ran this on Colossus for a little while just to see, and it's really very good on the straightaway. I mean, you get going really fast, but it suffers in the first part of it because it just doesn't do as good as the short track Rosa does around the turns, getting through those corkscrews. So that, just take that with you. But at the end of the day, my job is to bring you the builds. It's your job to decide what you like the most and try it. And with this car using the same engine on all of the builds, you guys can really experiment with it, and it's not super costly for you guys to do that. So keep that in mind when you're building stuff, you guys. Let's move on to the Top Speed King, the fastest car in A+. The fastest car in A+ is absolutely the Testarossa, bar none. No car gets close. The ASAP Rocky kind of is on the cusp, but it doesn't do what this one does. This is the Century build. This is the last one. Guys, this is track specific. I cannot stress that enough. I've already showcased it on the channel. People message me. They're like, oh, I got beat up. Your Rosa sucks. I'm like, it's a skill issue. You don't know where to put the car. If you run this car on the top speed highway runs, you will not lose if you don't crash. If you lost, it's because somebody else in another Rosa beat you. This will do 213, 214 with Redline Tech. It is the fastest car in A+, hands down. There are other builds, there are other cars that can achieve this. The Eclipse comes to mind, but they take forever to accelerate. So they might have a higher top speed, but not in a race setting. This one gets up to its top speed and just cruises. The Eclipse takes like 10 years to finally get up to top speed, only after you've dropped it off a cliff, and it doesn't win the race because it takes so long to get there. This is the most optimized top speed acceleration blend that we can get to get those races and get the best times. Because as you guys know, we chase times, not performance values or numbers. How does the car perform in a race setting? Check the Eclipse. People say it's fast. Yeah, you can get it to go, but go run the only races that you can that have top speed, and it won't touch this thing. Won't even get close. You'll just walk away and wave at those guys when you go by. So, like, keep that in mind. Well, when you go by, they better be in front of you at the start, because that's the only time they'll be in front of you, when you go by. Because once you're past them, they're not ever going to catch you. Let me dig into it. The engine, 4.9 liter V8, same as all the other ones, you guys. The parts, same as what I've done on the channel before, but we'll bring it to you anyway. It is the Silver Pro induction. It is the Sport Bronze ECU. It is the Gold Super fuel system, Gold Super exhaust, and then Elite Platinum Centrifugal supercharger. Chassis is the same. So you're going to run Sport Bronze nitrous. You're going to run Elite Platinum road suspension. You're going to run Sport Bronze brakes. And you're going to run Elite Platinum grip tires. I showed the drifts, but it's the grips. You're running Sport Bronze clutch. And you're running the Sport Bronze 4-speed transmission. Differential, run anything you want. As long as you've got at least the bronze one in there to give you 100%, they're fine. I run the Elite Platinum. Nitrous grip, nitrous near miss, nitrous near miss, grip and near miss. It's the only difference between the other ones, because on the highway runs, you are not micro drifting. The corners don't justify it. You can micro drift in the corners, but you're kind of bleeding speed. It's better to get near miss, because you are going so fast. There's enough traffic. You're going to build your boost bar way faster. So, grip, near miss. That's optimal. That's how we get our records in the car. Handling, all the way to the left, 100% grip. Steering sensitivity, 2 clicks high. With this build, go all the way low, 1 click to the right. That's A269. That's or S270. You can't go all the way low, but you want to back it off as much as you can to give the car the longest legs possible. Traction control off, drift entry, brake tap if you drift. If you accidentally equip this car and run it on a different playlist, you might want to have your brake tap so you can try to micro drift. But either way, this is the top speed version. Top speed 208. It'll do 213 with Redline Tech all day. Under boost, I've seen 215 out of this car. It is nutty. This car is faster in A+ than a lot of the S cars. Like, over half of the S cars. That being said, it doesn't accelerate as hard as those do. But on a top speed track, if we were running Big O, I would put this against half of the S-Class cars on Big O and win. I'd put it against more than half, actually, probably 80% of the S cars, because this has really got the top speed and most of those cars don't. So that's pretty sweet. 770 for your brake horsepower, and your max torque is 887. Those stats look really good, but I'm telling you guys, this does not accelerate. It's not going to impress you off the line. You launch it in second gear, and you just wait. And then you watch that speedo just start to climb. And then you hit about 180 miles an hour, and it just kind of wakes up and goes, we're awake now. We're living. And you just plow by everybody on those top speed highway tracks. So guys, get to know your tracks. Get to know which tracks are in which playlist in what order. On my Discord, I have got, in my pinned comments on the regular chat, there's a list that we have. It's all the playlists in the game for each B, A+, S, and S+. And it tells you if it's a speed track, if it's a corner king, if it's in the city, which is 90-degree corners. And so that way you can just do it. That's like a cheat sheet. You can look over and be like, oh, that's this. Okay, I need this car. And it helps out a lot. And a lot of the guys, they run that on their second screen. I'm usually streaming, so I don't have it up on my second screen because I've got Twitch and YouTube and everything else up there. So I always ask, hey, what kind of track is this? Or what's next? And they tell me. So that being said, this car's nuts. It is the top speed version. Guys, they're all on the same platform. They're all the same chassis. So experiment, see what you like. Build the screw or the twins. You need to own it. And then build either the single turbo or the Sentry for your top speed. It's good to have them. You need to have them in your garage. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Big shout out to Nil, Donald, Sakay. Just, the list is long with these guys. Hex. We all worked on different versions to find out which one was really the best. And that's how we ended up getting 4 different Rosas. So, without the Cornnut crew, the frequency at which I bring out the builds would not be the same. The quality would be there for sure, but how often I can pump these out is really helped by my guys that are always testing and doing stuff. So I can just, hey, what are we doing? And we're here. And that, a big thanks to Nil for that too. So you guys can support me on Patreon. I really appreciate that. That helps me know that you guys are invested in the content, and then I can bring more to you. I'm growing. You guys, I am a new YouTuber. We've been doing this for like 4 months roughly. We started in December. And so in 4 months, I've grown a lot, and you guys are really supporting that. And as new games come out and more gameplay is needed and more tips and tricks and cheese cars and insane builds need to be brought to you, I'll be there. So we're in for the long haul. This is a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.